Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new. My name is Brooke and I'm very happy to have you here today. This is going to be a video that is rather gruesome and grisly, and if you don't like that kind of thing, maybe you shouldn't watch this video. It is pretty disturbing, especially different stories that I'm going to tell today are pretty disturbing. As you could probably tell by the title, I'm going to be talking about 5 of the most gruesome axe murders in history. So fair warning, I am under the weather today. I am feeling pretty sick, but I'm going to film this video anyway because it's something that I really want to get up and that I have wanted to get up for a few days because I've been researching this for multiple days. I've never spent that much time looking into a video before, but I did today and now you're gonna see it. So without further ado, let's just get on to the video. So the first story that I'm going to tell today is about a woman named Frances Stewart Silver. She hacked her hubby to death with an axe. She hacked his body up with an axe and chopped him into so many pieces and buried them in separate graves that he wasn't even found right away. At least, not all of him was found right away. They found different bits of his body in 2 separate graves before finding his head and his torso in a 3rd grave, and that's how they finally identified who this man was. So she literally chopped up her husband and buried him in 3 shallow graves in her small town in North Carolina. But you know what the scariest part is? Nobody ever found out her motive. Was it jealousy? Was it self-defense? Nobody knows. Why will we never know the truth? Because Frances Stewart Silver was hanged by the neck until dead as a punishment for her crime, leaving behind her infant daughter. And who knows what became of her infant daughter, because it was the 1830s and record keeping was not as good back then as it is now. So the daughter of a potentially cold-blooded killer could have lived on and had tons of kids, future generations. Frances Stewart Silver's long-lost relatives might still be living today in your communities, just waiting to snap. Alright, so tale number 2 is about 23-year-old Helen Jewett. She was a high-class prostitute working in a, fancier brothel in New York. This was a high-class, sophisticated area. It even had people who were standing around doing security for the place, and it was a very close-knit community amongst the women. One night, the madam of the brothel saw smoke creeping under the door of Helen's room, so she went in to investigate. She found the room filled with smoke and yelled, "Fire!" As you can imagine, in a brothel, yelling fire is probably one of the worst things you can do. It caused so much craziness and so much chaos that it easily could have allowed Helen's killer to escape, going totally unnoticed. Half of Helen's body was charred from the flames, and the other half revealed clues about Helen's gory death. There were 3 hatchet gashes to her face, and blood was soaking her pillow and her sheets. It was everywhere. Several of Helen's co-workers pointed the finger at Richard P. Robinson. They said that he was one of her regular customers and that they had seen him just before this whole shit show happened. They had actually gotten pretty close and were writing love letters back and forth. It was turning into a lot more than just a sex worker-customer relationship. So the police took him to the scene of the crime and they actually arrested him for the reason being he didn't even flinch or gasp or anything when they showed him her body. I mean, he saw her mangled face and her charred corpse and he didn't even go, ugh, like nothing. He was not fazed. So it was pretty clear that he did it. But what's even more sick than that is that the judge ruled that the prostitutes' words were polluted and that they were unclean because they were prostitutes. So their claims were thrown out, and Richard P. Robinson got off scot-free. He just walked off, never getting punished for anything, and Helen never got justice. This 3rd axe murder takes place in 2011, and it involves a South African rugby player named Joseph Nichwanga. Joseph believed that his teenage daughter had been gang raped by a group of men. So He stalked them for days before finally hunting them down one gruesome day in 2011 and hacking them apart. Not only did Joseph believe that these men gang raped his daughter, they also believed that they had somehow infected her with the HIV virus. So this man was completely enraged and out of his mind. He killed 3 of the group members with his axe and severely wounded a 4th member of the group. You guys. He was so brutal that he even carried one of the decapitated heads of one of his victims down the street for almost a mile before tossing it into the garbage can like trash. And the worst, weirdest, most strange part of this whole occurrence is that the police ruled that there was never even a rape that happened. There was no rape, there was no HIV. None of that happened. That was all in Joseph's mind. Although Joseph was found to be mentally ill and have schizoaffective disorder, he was still tried as though he were mentally sound. The court ruled that his mental illness really didn't matter and that he was capable to stand trial. Number 4 is about Jake Bird. Jake Bird was a drifter in the 1940s. He had picked up some pretty bad habits while on the road, including breaking and entering, burglary, and lots of violence. One of his burglaries in 1947 did not go as planned. He murdered a mother and her teenage daughter with an axe, of course, as per the title of this video. The police chased him and cornered him in an alley where they found Jake Bird barefoot and still wielding his axe. When he started slashing at the officers and injured one of them, another officer kicked him where the sun don't shine and subdued him for just long enough to arrest him. It was a very speedy trial because he had matter from the mother and teenage daughter all over him, and it was just very clear that he did it, so the trial went very quickly and he got the death penalty. However, at the very end of the trial, before he was taken away forever, the judge asked him if there was anything that he wanted to say, any final words before they concluded the trial completely. And you know what he said? No, you don't know what he said. Like, you're not gonna believe this. Jake Bird said, and I quote, "All you guys who had anything to do with this case are going to die before I do." And guess what? 6 of them did. 6 of them! Before Jake was hanged 2 years later, 6 people who were involved in the trial, including the judge, police, his attorney, and even a court reporter, just dropped dead. Like, literally dropped dead out of nowhere. And while Jake was on death row, he claimed responsibility for 44 murders across the country. Do you think it's possible that with some voodoo-ass shit, he could have been responsible for the other 6 murders that took place while he was in jail? Who knows? Creepy shit. And then finally, this one is gross. In 1845, in a town in New South Wales, an old man and a young, I want to say woman, but she's a girl, she was 14 or 15 years old, they rented a home in this town for a few days. When the pair were in public, they addressed themselves as father and daughter. And the public thought it was very obvious that they were not just father and daughter, that they were in a relationship, a romantic type relationship. They thought and speculated that somehow the old man had seduced the young girl, and I mean, I'm all for age is just a number, but 14? You nasty. When the neighbors in the town of Parramatta realized that the house had been relatively quiet for a few days, that they hadn't seen anybody coming in or out, their nosy asses decided that they were going to go and investigate. When they found nothing on the first floor, they decided to go upstairs and investigate the second floor. for a little while. They didn't find anything suspicious or out of the ordinary until they looked in one of the rooms and found in the corner a pile of old clothes and blankets that were kind of almost a makeshift bed, and the mangled body of the teenage girl laying on top of them. But it's not just, you know, her mangled body hacked apart by an axe. There was no blood anywhere. Not on the sheets, not anywhere in the house. They were like, where the heck is the rest of her? Where is the rest of this crime scene? They found it. All of her gory and bloody remains that they couldn't find in the New South Wales rented home were found in a different rented home in Sydney. Apparently, there were pools of blood all over the house. The walls were covered in splatters of red blood, and there was even tufts of her hair found throughout this house. There were axe marks hacked into the walls where maybe he was trying to, like, you know, hack her with the axe, but she moved or darted away and it went into the wall instead. Or maybe he was trying to show his power over her and trying to scare her and saying like, oh, you're making me so mad, and like hacked into the wall. Nobody knows. According to the coroner's report, she had been severely beaten before she was even mutilated by this axe. There were several kick marks to her groin and bruises all over her face. One of her fingers was cut off. This poor girl was tortured. And that was all before she was hacked apart, transported to a different house in a different city, and left there to rot. The old man was thought to be named Halloran or O'Halloran, and he was never ever seen again anywhere. Nobody has any idea where this old guy went. So once again, this poor young lady never got any justice. How does that happen? How? And with that, that is the conclusion of our stories today. Really disgusting, super gruesome, so many that lacked any type of justice. It's all extremely sad, but I hope that with all of that being said, that you did enjoy this video. I didn't mean any disrespect to any of the victims or the families or just any of you. I meant no disrespect by any of it. I just wanted to tell the story because I think that stories like this are extremely interesting. Trying to get into the mind of a serial killer or just a killer in general is fascinating to me because I just don't think the way they do. And if I did think that way, I wouldn't tell you. So that is it. I'm going to go. If you liked this video, please feel free to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and share this video. If you know any friends who like gory shit like I do, please share this video with them. I am so close to 3,000 subscribers. I would love it if I could grow my family just a little bit more, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!